Hey guys, this is Red and Blue, the channel on YouTube for all things PSGs in English. So please subscribe. Today something a little bit different because today the biggest PSG story, I guess, or PSG related news isn't really about PSG at all. It is Lyon's trouble with the DNCG, the financial watchdog of French football, who decided to put Lyon in the second tier, in the second division, in League Two for next season, because their finances of the football genius and business guru Lyon Textor apparently don't really add up. Which has been said over and over and over again, and yet they can't seem to correct it. So now DNCG has cracked down. Actually, they cracked down last November. They just decided to stick with their initial decision. So I'll talk about that briefly, and then I'll go into the consequences for French football and for PSG as well. So if you know about this, feel free to skip ahead. I'll make sure to chapter the video. But yeah. So what happened is that every club, every professional football club in France has to go through presenting their budget and their financial plans to this watchdog called the DNCG, which is part of the league, and their role is to make sure that the clubs don't run themselves into bankruptcy, that they don't do like anything too stupid finance-wise, and that, the whole ecosystem of football isn't in danger of just like falling to the ground, which at a time where our TV rights is just completely in shambles, even more important that we make sure that, there's some solid stuff somewhere, and that it's not just, built on quicksand. And so typically they do that once a year with every club. And I think Lyon, since Textor took over from Olas, it's been an ongoing challenge for them to present budget and plans that actually make sense and that everyone can understand. And for Textor and Eagle Group to understand what the DNCG is asking, apparently. So right now, like the situation that they're in is that like last November when they presented, they had a debt of nearly 200 million euros. 175 is the numbers that came out. And so at that time, last November, the DNCG decided to provisionally relegate them for next season. And the idea was saying, hey, you've got nearly 200 million in debt, that can go on. You need to find money, find cash, put it in the club, and if you do that, we'll take a second look and we'll see if it's better. At the time, Lyon said yes, sure. Textor said like, oh, you'll see, I'm gonna sell Crystal Palace, so I'm gonna put that money into Lyon, and I've got magical money like going between Botafogo and Molenbeek and Lyon and players and so on and so forth. And so I'm gonna play on all of that, and come the end of the season, we'll be okay. Truth be told, apparently they sold Cherokee for about 42.5 million, but apart from that, Textor, it looks like managed to finally sell its share in Crystal Palace, but the time for that to actually come through and the money to come in, it's not tomorrow, it's not like buying a loaf of bread from the supermarket. We're talking about like million-euro deals. It takes a while, it's complicated in terms of finance, so yeah, it's not like right now. And even better, my god, like Textor just cracks me up. Apparently there was a news item in the press that now he's looking at investing into another English team. And so I'm guessing DNCG looked at that and went like, what kind of nonsense are you trying to sell to us? And what are you doing? And yeah, like I said, they sold Cherokee, but it's nowhere near enough to the level of debt that they had. They sold a lot of assets as well, so the club has less and less to bargain with. They sold their women's team, which was a big success in Lyon. And now, like, the only real asset that they have left is the stadium. Obviously, like, they don't want to sell that, and it's not that easy anyway. But you can't bargain with those things, and they don't really have bargaining chips left. So what does it mean for French football? Honestly, it's a cluster F of like nonsense. We're at a time where our TV rights, like I said, are in shambles. DAZN is pulling out. The league, the LFP is trying to build their own distribution model and channel that they would like broadcast through Canal Plus and streaming platforms TBD, TBC, nothing is really certain. And now essentially like, you know, four of the top 20 games of the season are basically disappearing. If not six with the OL versus Saint-Etienne, which is a big derby in France. So, you know, the two games of Lyon versus Paris and the two games of Lyon versus Marseille, always great for broadcast, big audiences. Essentially, they're gone. So that's a problem. French football also lost historical, like real powerhouse Bordeaux a couple of years back. First to sporting issues and then to finance when they came down. Now it's Lyon. You know, when you're trying to make money off of your TV rights, like replacing Lyon with Reims and Metz, like I don't see any people in the US or in Asia getting very excited by it. So it is absolutely not good. And yeah, we're talking about, you know, the football club of the second biggest city in France as well. So there is a question of access to the highest tier of professional sports as a mode of entertainment for people in such a big urban area. And yeah, like all of the economy that goes around it, like the people who work at the stadium, the people who like work at the club, at the training ground, the people who work in all of the companies that are related to OL. All of that is like at risk of crumbling, and it's like heartbreaking, honestly. What does it mean for PSG? Well, first, let's be honest, I've got like a good 20% giggles going on. If you don't know, in France, like there was a real tug of war that the past year in particular between Lyon fan and like anti-PSG football fans who would explain to us in football forums, in websites, in like discussions that, you know, Lyon Textor was the most brilliant guy ever, was a business genius who was going to save French football from the bad dealings of Nasser. What a bad guy, Nasser, who's ruining French football. And Textor was going to save it with TV rights and his experience in streaming, and we should do what he says. Yeah, business genius, man. Well done. Like, really, like, put his team into the ground. Well done. Bravo, Lyon Textor. So yeah, so I'm sorry, like, yeah, there's a little bit of satisfaction that, you know, the masks are falling. Even the most hardcore of Lyon fans are now realizing that they've been like duped. And yeah, the PSG fan, like, I'm sorry, you won the Champions League, you're in League 2. Yeah, who knows how to run a club now? So maybe, you know, maybe less with the cowboy hat and more with looking at business 101. And then for PSG, we're not entirely dependent on the French league that much. So like no Lyon anymore. There's gonna be less TV revenue and so on. I mean, it's annoying, and like I'd rather they be there but not. But it's like the impact is relatively limited. I was listening to a podcast earlier, and they were saying like, oh, you know, what Lyon player would you go in for now that they're all basically gonna be on sale for nothing? And like, there's really not that many in their team right now that we would want. Like the main one would have been Cherki. Even that is a maybe. Personally, I wasn't really like that into the player, but he went into Man City already. There's a guy called Malik Fofana who's talented for sure. Is he at PSG's level? Honestly, not entirely convinced. And then they've got a bunch of old guys. So, you know, Tagliafico, 31-year-old to sub for Nuno Mendes, not that interested. The funny thing that they said is that, you know, the number one thing that PSG could buy would be their stadium, because it's basically like at the same distance from Paris as Massy and Poissy, so we can just buy that. But yeah, I'm not sure we're gonna go for that. Hopefully, we can stick it in the park for a bit longer. So yeah, that's really like the situation as it is right now. Honestly, what a shame. Because like, we're talking about a historical like powerhouse of French football, and like for a generation of French football fan who went through like the years 2000, where like Lyon was winning the league every year, like clockwork, like going on to semi-finals of the Champions League, and you know, Juninho banging in free kicks against Real Madrid, like pretty much every year, like clockwork. Such a shame to see it fall down to that level. They also like, it's a sad story. They also lost one of their historical player and business leaders who passed away about a week ago. So it's really like they can't catch a break right now, and just so sad. So anyway, like let's hope for them that, I don't know, like some magical money appears somewhere, and that, like, you know, Textor learns how to manage a business, which is just one business and not like juggling money between 3 different clubs to pretend like it's 3 times what he's got. But yeah, in the meantime, like Lyon might be going into League 2 next season. Anyways, that was it for me for today. Let me know what you thought of this video. Obviously a lot less PSG centric than what I would usually do, but I think it's a really interesting topic that, you know, deserve to be explained a little bit and gone into details a little bit. Let me know if that's interesting to you guys, or you just want, like, you know, hardcore PSG and we want to talk about the Messi game on Sunday and that's it. Hopefully, like, that's interesting enough that you can leave a like on the video, leave a comment on what you think of this, and if you think, like, you know, maybe we should make an exception for this one because it's such a big club. Let me know what you think. But yeah, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget, even when we're talking about Lyon, ici c'est Paris! Anyways, that was it for me for today.